Hidden Spiritual Masters by David Rousseau. Introduction. The Call to Hidden Wisdom. There is a quiet current of wisdom in the world, one that flows beneath the surface of headlines, fame, and social recognition. It is not found in grand temples, viral teachings, or the applause of crowds. It is the subtle, enduring presence of hidden spiritual masters, those who live their lives in humility, often unseen, yet whose influence radiates far beyond their own awareness. These masters teach not with words alone, but through the profound simplicity of their lives. They reveal the extraordinary in the ordinary, the sacred in silence, and the divine in the everyday moments we often overlook. Their lessons are not loud proclamations, but gentle nudges, an intuition that guides you toward inner clarity, a compassionate act that inspires transformation, a presence that reminds you of your deeper self. This book is an invitation to explore that hidden current. Across 10 chapters, we will journey into the essence of these subtle teachers. We will discover how they transform suffering into wisdom, how silence becomes a powerful guide, and how devotion to service, self-mastery, and nature reveals truths that cannot be learned from books alone. Each chapter offers stories, reflections, and practical exercises to help you encounter your own hidden master within. Whether you are seeking deeper meaning, inner peace, or the courage to live with greater authenticity, the path of the hidden spiritual masters offers guidance. It asks only that you listen attentively, act with sincerity, and remain open to the whispers of wisdom that the world often keeps hidden in plain sight. As you embark on this journey, know that the masters you will meet are not distant figures of legend. They are everywhere, sometimes in a stranger's act of kindness, sometimes in your own heart, waiting for recognition. This is a path not of admiration, but of discovery, of hidden truths, subtle power, and the quiet mastery that lies within you. Welcome to the world of the hidden spiritual masters. Your journey begins here. Chapter 1. The nature of the hidden spiritual master. When we think of spiritual masters, our minds often drift to grand figures, those whose teachings are celebrated worldwide, whose faces are on bookshelves, and whose names are spoken in reverence. But the most profound teachers are often those who walk quietly among us, unnoticed, their wisdom hidden in plain sight. These are the hidden spiritual masters. They do not seek recognition or acclaim. Their lives are devoted to the subtle cultivation of inner truth, not the performance of outward perfection. The hidden spiritual master teaches by example. Their strength is not in rhetoric, but in presence. You may find them in the neighbor who responds with calm in the face of chaos, the friend who listens with deep attention, or the stranger whose small act of kindness changes your day. Their mastery lies in self-mastery, discipline of mind, clarity of heart, and alignment with life's deeper rhythms. They are living reminders that true power is often quiet, and influence often invisible. History, too, holds countless hidden masters whose names we may never know. In villages, monasteries, and forgotten corners of the world, they have guided others through hardship, awakened insight through subtle instruction, and transformed lives without seeking credit. Their teachings are found not in proclamations, but in small, persistent ways, a question that sparks reflection, a gesture that models compassion, a moment of presence that makes another feel seen. The hidden spiritual master invites us to look beyond surface appearances, to cultivate discernment and openness. Their lessons are subtle, but profound. They ask us to pause, to notice, to reflect, and, above all, to awaken to the presence of wisdom that already surrounds us. In this chapter, we begin to explore the essence of these quiet teachers, not as distant figures to revere, but as living guides whose principles we can embody in our own lives. Chapter 2. Lessons from Silence. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something deeper, a stillness that allows truth to be heard. Hidden spiritual masters understand this intimately. They do not rush to fill every moment with words or distractions. Instead, they sit in quiet awareness, letting life speak through subtle gestures, fleeting expressions, or even the spaces between words. In silence, there is clarity. A hidden spiritual master listens deeply, not only to what is said, but to what is unsaid. They perceive the rhythms of the heart, the patterns of thought, and the unspoken needs of those around them. In doing so, they reveal a fundamental truth. Wisdom is not always taught, it is sensed, absorbed, and experienced. Consider the master who meets a troubled student in a quiet garden. No lecture, no sermon, no argument, just a shared moment of stillness. In that silence, the student feels understood, and a subtle shift occurs within. This is the language of hidden masters, a language that transcends words and touches the soul directly. Silence is also a mirror. In stillness, we confront our inner turbulence, our fears, and our unexamined beliefs. Hidden spiritual masters guide us not by avoiding these shadows, but by demonstrating calm presence in their midst. They show that by embracing silence, we cultivate patience, insight, and a deeper connection to life's unseen currents. To practice this, you might begin with brief daily pauses, a few moments of mindful breathing, sitting quietly in nature, or simply observing the world without judgment. Notice how the mind resists, how thoughts arise and fade, and how awareness can expand in the spaces between. These small practices invite the hidden master within you to awaken. Silence is not emptiness, it is a doorway, and in stepping through it, we begin to hear the subtle teachings that guide our hearts, sharpen our awareness, and reveal the hidden currents of wisdom that flow through every moment. Chapter 3. The Path of Self-Mastery. The heart of hidden spiritual mastery lies within, not in the applause of others. A hidden spiritual master devotes themselves to self-mastery, the patient cultivation of mind, emotions, and actions. It is a journey that requires courage, honesty, and unwavering attention to the inner landscape. Unlike the dramatic feats of public figures, self-mastery is quiet, often invisible, yet its effects ripple outward in profound ways. Self-mastery begins with awareness. Hidden spiritual masters observe their thoughts and emotions without judgment, noticing patterns that keep them restless, reactive, or fearful. They do not suppress these tendencies, nor do they indulge them. Instead, they illuminate them with the light of understanding. In this way, mastery is not control, but conscious alignment, living in harmony with one's highest values rather than being ruled by impulse or habit. Discipline is another cornerstone. Hidden spiritual masters cultivate consistency and practice daily meditation, reflection, ethical conduct, and mindful action. These practices may seem small, almost ordinary, yet they accumulate, like drops of water filling a reservoir. Over time, the mind becomes steady, the heart open, and the spirit resilient. Shadow work is part of the path. Hidden spiritual masters confront their own fears, insecurities, and attachments, transforming them into insight and compassion. They understand that mastery is not perfection. It is the courage to face oneself honestly and to grow from each encounter with difficulty. You can begin your own practice by observing your reactions to daily challenges. Pause before responding. Notice the emotions that arise and the stories your mind tells. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my highest self? Small choices, repeated with awareness, build the foundation of inner mastery. The path of self-mastery is subtle, often lonely, yet deeply rewarding. It cultivates a mind that is clear, a heart that is steady, and a presence that can move through the world without disturbance. In following this path, you begin to embody the essence of hidden mastery, not in grandeur or recognition, but in the quiet strength of being fully awake. Chapter 4. The Power of Service. True mastery is not measured by what one accumulates, but by what one gives. Hidden spiritual masters understand that the heart of wisdom is service, quiet, selfless action that uplifts others without seeking recognition. They teach that the world is a mirror. When we serve with sincerity, we serve not only others but our own higher selves. Service is subtle. It does not always involve grand gestures or public accolades. Often, it is a patient presence, a helping hand offered without expectation, or a listening ear in a moment of need. A hidden spiritual master's work may go unnoticed by the world, yet its impact is profound, rippling outward in ways that cannot always be measured, touching lives in silence. This service flows naturally from inner alignment. A person who has cultivated self-mastery, clarity, and compassion does not act from obligation or ego, but from the natural impulse to care. They recognize that helping others is inseparable from nurturing the spirit within themselves. By giving quietly, they model a truth that cannot be taught in words, that love expressed through action is transformative. Consider the story of a teacher who tends to the smallest needs of a community without fanfare, or the neighbor who consistently supports those around them in simple, unnoticed ways. These hidden acts create a web of kindness, trust, and healing, often shaping the lives of others in ways the master may never witness. You can practice this in your own life. Start small. Notice where someone could use help. Speak words of encouragement, or dedicate time to a cause quietly. Observe the shift in your heart as you act without expectation. Even small gestures, repeated with sincerity, strengthen your presence and deepen your connection to life. The power of service lies not in recognition, but in transformation. Hidden spiritual masters teach us that through selfless action, we awaken both ourselves and others, and in this awakening, the quiet influence of mastery spreads, unseen but profound. Chapter 5. Nature as Teacher. Hidden spiritual masters often turn to nature not merely for solace, but as a profound source of wisdom. In the rustle of leaves, the flow of a river, or the steady rise of the sun, they observe the patterns and rhythms that mirror the inner life. Nature teaches patience, resilience, and the subtle interconnectedness of all things, lessons that no classroom or book can fully convey. To the hidden master, every element has a voice. A tree demonstrates rootedness and flexibility. A river shows persistence and surrender. The changing seasons reveal impermanence and renewal. By attuning to these lessons, they learn to live in harmony with the cycles of life, to act without forcing, and to respond rather than react. Spending time in nature cultivates presence. A quiet walk through a forest or a moment of stillness by a lake allows the mind to slow, the heart to open, and awareness to expand. Hidden spiritual masters understand that these moments are not escapes from life, but invitations to engage with it more fully, mindful, attentive, and aligned with its deeper rhythms. Nature also teaches humility. Standing beneath a mountain or observing a storm, one is reminded of the vastness of the world and the small, yet essential, place of human life within it. This perspective fosters compassion, patience, and the recognition that every being, every experience, has its role in the greater whole. You can begin to practice this insight by observing, rather than controlling, the natural world. Watch a bird build its nest. Feel the texture of the soil. Notice the movement of clouds. Reflect on how these patterns resonate with your own life. Let nature guide your awareness and inspire lessons of balance, patience, and quiet strength. By learning from nature, hidden spiritual masters cultivate a deep attunement to life, itself a mastery not of domination, but of harmony. In this way, the world becomes a teacher, and every moment a sacred opportunity to awaken to the subtle currents of wisdom that flow through all living things. Chapter 6. The Mystery of Intuition. Hidden spiritual masters move through life guided by a subtle, inner compass intuition. It is a knowing that does not rely on logic, analysis, or external approval, yet it is remarkably precise. Intuition is the language of the soul, whispering truths that the mind often cannot grasp. It is a quiet guidance system, always present, but requiring attention and trust to be heard. The hidden master cultivates intuition through stillness and awareness. They notice the small nudges, the fleeting impressions, and the gut feelings that arise in everyday moments. Over time, these subtle signals become reliable guides, steering decisions, actions, and relationships in harmony with a deeper wisdom. Intuition often speaks through feelings rather than words. A sense of unease may warn of harm, while a sudden clarity or inspiration signals alignment with the right path. Hidden spiritual masters teach that cultivating this sensitivity requires patience, honesty, and a willingness to act even when the reasons are not immediately clear. Consider the story of a healer who senses the unspoken pain of a patient, or a teacher who knows when a student is ready to understand a difficult truth. Their guidance emerges not from reasoning alone, but from an attunement to something beyond ordinary perception, a subtle awareness that connects all things. You can begin to strengthen your intuition by quieting the mind and observing your inner responses. Before making decisions, pause, breathe, and notice the sensations, images, or impulses that arise. Keep a journal of these insights and reflect on how they guide you. With practice, you will learn to trust the quiet voice within and to distinguish it from fear, wishful thinking, or habit. Intuition is not mystical, it is the natural clarity that emerges when we align with ourselves and the world around us. Hidden masters remind us that when we listen deeply, the guidance we seek is always present, waiting to awaken in the stillness of our own hearts. Chapter 7. Transforming Suffering. Suffering is not an obstacle to spiritual growth. For hidden spiritual masters, it is a teacher. Life inevitably brings challenges, loss, and pain, yet those who walk the path quietly learn to meet these trials with awareness and compassion. They understand that suffering, when approached consciously, can deepen insight, strengthen character, and open the heart to a greater understanding of life. Hidden spiritual masters do not avoid pain, nor do they deny it. Instead, they observe it, allowing themselves to fully experience the emotions that arise. In this process, they discover that suffering is not the entirety of life. It is a passing wave in the ocean of being. By embracing it rather than resisting it, they learn resilience, patience, and the art of letting go. Consider the master who has lost much yet radiates peace, or the teacher who has endured hardship and guides others through their own struggles. Their wisdom comes from intimate acquaintance with life's difficulties, not from theories or books. Through suffering, they have learned that every challenge contains a lesson, and every moment of pain holds the potential for transformation. You can begin to practice this in your own life by observing your reactions to difficulties. Notice where you resist, blame, or attach to outcomes. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me? Small moments of reflection, repeated over time, allow suffering to become a mirror revealing fears to release, attachments to loosen, and inner strengths to embrace. Hidden spiritual masters show us that suffering, when met with awareness, becomes a doorway rather than a barrier. It transforms into compassion for oneself and others, patience with life's rhythms, and a deep recognition that even in hardship, the essence of the self remains whole and uncheckable. Chapter 8. The Wisdom of Non-Attachment. Non-attachment is a cornerstone of hidden mastery. It does not mean indifference or disengagement from life. Rather, it is the ability to experience fully without clinging, allowing events, relationships, and outcomes to flow naturally while maintaining inner balance. Hidden spiritual masters embody this principle, moving through the world with freedom, clarity, and grace. Clinging arises from fear, the fear of loss, rejection, or uncertainty. Hidden spiritual masters recognize these fears without judgment and gently release them. They understand that attachment creates suffering because life is impermanent. By loosening the grip on desires, expectations, and identities, they cultivate a mind that is both calm and receptive, a mind that can respond to life rather than react. Consider the story of a sage who gives generously of time, wisdom, and resources, yet does not seek recognition or reward. Their joy is not bound to outcomes, and their peace remains unshaken whether the world notices or not. In this, we see that non-attachment does not diminish care or action. It deepens it, allowing engagement from a place of freedom rather than compulsion. Practicing non-attachment begins with awareness. Observe where you cling, to material possessions, to the opinions of others, to outcomes in your work or relationships. When you notice this, pause and breathe. Remind yourself that life's currents are ever-changing, and that true freedom arises when you flow with them rather than resist. Hidden spiritual masters teach that non-attachment is liberation. It is the stillness that exists amid movement, the freedom that exists amid responsibilities, and the serenity that arises when the heart is not bound by fear. Through this practice, we discover that we can care deeply, act fully, and love profoundly without being enslaved by the need to control. Chapter 9. The Subtle Energy of Life. Hidden spiritual masters understand that life is not only what is seen, but also what is felt, the invisible currents that flow through and around all living things. This subtle energy called prana, chi, or life force is the thread that connects mind, body, and spirit, and it is a source of vitality, clarity, and intuitive insight. Masters learn to sense, cultivate, and harmonize this energy, moving with life rather than against it. They perceive energy in ordinary moments, the tension in a room, the quiet heaviness in a heart, the spark of creativity in a mind. By becoming attuned to these currents, they can act with precision, compassion, and timing that seems effortless. Subtle energy guides their choices, informs their presence, and strengthens their connection to the unseen rhythms of existence. Consider the healer who can sense imbalances in a patient without words, or the teacher whose presence calms a restless group. Their skill is not magic. It is awareness, a cultivated sensitivity to energy, born of observation, practice, and inner stillness. Through this awareness, the hidden spiritual master can channel life force into healing, insight, or transformation. You can begin to explore subtle energy in your own life by observing how your body and mind feel in different situations. Notice where tension accumulates, where vitality flows freely, and how your attention shifts your energy. Simple practices such as mindful breathing, gentle movement, or meditation help you become more aware of these currents and allow you to align with them. The hidden spiritual masters teach that life is alive with subtle energy, and that awakening to it enhances perception, intuition, and harmony. By cultivating awareness of this unseen force, we begin to move through life with greater ease, respond with clarity, and experience the interconnected flow of existence that underlies all visible forms. Chapter 10. Becoming a hidden spiritual master in your own life. Hidden spiritual mastery is not a title reserved for a select few. It is a path open to anyone willing to cultivate awareness, humility, and compassion. Becoming a hidden master in your own life means embracing the principles you have explored: silence, self-mastery, service, non-attachment, intuition, and the subtle energy of being. It is not about perfection, recognition, or grandeur. It is about embodying these qualities quietly, consistently, and with presence. To walk this path, begin with small, intentional acts. Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Serve others without expectation of reward. Practice stillness daily. Trust your intuition and act with integrity. Notice the energy around you and within you, and learn to harmonize with it rather than resist it. Over time, these practices accumulate, shaping your character, deepening your awareness, and refining your influence. A hidden spiritual master is not distant or separate. They are fully engaged with life, yet undisturbed by its turbulence. They recognize that mastery begins with the self and radiates outward, affecting everyone they encounter. By embodying calm, compassion, and clarity, you influence the world quietly but profoundly, like a ripple moving across still water. Remember, the journey is ongoing. There will be setbacks, distractions, and moments of doubt. Hidden spiritual masters do not resist these challenges. They meet them with patience, curiosity, and grace. Each difficulty is an opportunity to practice the very principles that define mastery: presence, resilience, and love in action. In embracing this path, you discover that hidden spiritual mastery is less about achieving something external and more about awakening to the depth, power, and serenity already within you. By living intentionally, quietly, and with awareness, you become both student and teacher, learner and guide, a hidden master in your own life, radiating subtle wisdom wherever you go. Conclusion: the eternal presence. Our journey through the world of hidden spiritual masters brings us to a simple yet profound truth. Mastery is not found in fame, titles, or outward achievements, but in the quiet cultivation of awareness, compassion, and integrity. The hidden spiritual masters we have explored through silence, service, self-mastery, intuition, and connection with life's subtle energies remind us that wisdom often dwells where few are looking, in the still spaces of life and in the hearts of ordinary people. As you close this book, remember that the path of hidden spiritual mastery is not a distant ideal. It is alive and accessible in your own life. Every moment becomes an opportunity to listen more deeply, act more kindly, and align more fully with your inner truth. The principles you have encountered are not rules to follow rigidly, but invitations to practice, experiment, and awaken your own presence in the world. Hidden spiritual masters show us that the influence of quiet, conscious living is far-reaching. A kind word, a mindful action, or a moment of presence can ripple outward in ways you may never see. Your own journey toward hidden spiritual mastery is part of this subtle network of awakening, a contribution to the collective consciousness that is as invisible as it is powerful. Carry these lessons with patience and humility. Allow your inner stillness to guide you, your compassion to flow freely, and your awareness to deepen each day. Know that you are never alone on this path. The wisdom of hidden spiritual masters surrounds you, and their teachings live within you. The world may not recognize your quiet influence, but the transformation begins within, and from that inner awakening, life itself becomes your teacher, your guide, and your mirror. Hidden spiritual mastery is eternal, not in recognition, but in presence. By embodying it, you become a living example of the wisdom, love, and serenity that the hidden spiritual masters have always quietly shared with the world.